Welcome. In front of me is a Nubia Air, and today I'll show you how we can go through the setup process of this device. So, to get started, when you boot up your device for the first time, you should be presented with the same screen that you can see on my end, which is completely overblown brightness. Let me just adjust this a little bit, because holy hell, that is way too bright. Anyway, in here we're going to be choosing our desired language, which also includes a region. And so if I select English, you can see we have different regions right here. Now, I don't know if this actually matters here or not, but I do want to mention this. So depending on specific locations, like for instance Europe or so on, you might have better consumer rights, which also includes obviously the laws and what the device needs to follow based on what you select. Obviously, if you select UK, you're basically saying, yeah, I don't care about my personal rights, and US government can, just go like straight in there. No lube. While looking at you, smiling and telling you, yes, we have freedom of speech. Good joke, right? Anyway, so keep that in mind when selecting your region. It could matter. And also if, for instance, European Union forces manufacturers to follow specific rules because they just, I guess at this point love to fuck with them, which I'm all for, because why not? Then obviously they will need to follow that, and if you're in that region, you will fall under the people that get to benefit from that. And if a company loses money because of it, you sure shit should believe that they're not going to be implementing anywhere else this kind of changes that they don't need to. So pick your regions correctly. Anyway, so from here I'm going to select something like English, and great, none of these are good. So I'm just going to keep it as it is, even though US isn't, let's be honest, Make America Great Again, it ain't great anymore. Moving on, we have connect to mobile network, and we can do that by inserting a SIM card. Now, this is an optional step, you don't actually need to do it, and again, the brightness seems to be way too high. There we go. So I'm going to be skipping this, which then presents me with a connect to Wi-Fi network, and again, this is optional as well, and you can skip this, but if you choose to skip both of those, SIM and Wi-Fi, you get this pop-up, set up offline, and basically by setting up offline, we won't be able to sign into our Google account, restore apps and data, get software updates, and automatically set date and time. Okay, that's fine by me. And here we have the date and time, which isn't set automatically, so you can fix it up if it's incorrect, but it is actually correct, so I'm just gonna ignore it and move on. And next, we have the option to select a PIN to our device. Now, we are limited to a 4 to 6 digit PIN, but we can click right here, screen like options, and choose either pattern or password as well. Now, I'm gonna select a pattern for this. Next, repeat it, confirm, and now it's set. Now, we can also add immediately after that a fingerprint to unlock it that way as well, but we don't need to. Though, if you're planning to use a fingerprint, you will need to add a screen lock. Next, we have Google services, and we have things like location, scanning, and sending user and diagnostic data, and we can turn all of these off, but that's a big but there. I don't think these do anything. So hear me out on this one. We can turn off location, which uses Wi-Fi and cellular network towers and GPS to basically locate us. We can turn off scanning, which prevents the device from accessing Wi-Fi networks and nearby devices. And we can disable send user and diagnostic data. And yet, with all of these off, I can freaking guarantee you that if someone wants to find you, like, I don't know, FBI agents or Google wants to know where you are, which they sure shit know where you are even when all of this is turned off, this does basically nothing. And as a kind of maybe concept, I want to give you, I don't think I'm not necessarily a hypothetical situation, but when you have criminals with their phones and they're autistic enough to basically turn off everything, take out a SIM card and all that shit, and they go do their quotation mark very legal things that are not necessarily following the law, and with their phone being what could best be considered a unusable brick that is stuck in dark ages because it literally can't connect to anything based on how it's set, yet somehow they're found because of their phone. Ooh, someone murdered someone. Yeah, we found them because of the phone and where it was located. Well, how did you know where it was located when everything was off? Just a, food for thought. And in this case, do you think these tackles do anything when people like that are found because of the phone that shouldn't be found? Seems kind of counterintuitive that when you disable things that should track you, you're found because you're being tracked. Anyway, so we're just going to ignore this and move on. And here we have, welcome to daily wallpapers. I recommend turning that shit off. It's as simple as that. Now, these wallpapers, at least here on the example, aren't that bad, but I can tell you that from using them, there usually are some kind of random-ass wallpapers that I wouldn't want to have show up on my phone, just for the sake of not needing to explain to myself to a significant other, for instance, why I have a wallpaper of a maid cleaning, or whoever that is right here. It's much easier to not need to explain yourself and just set up a, I don't know, picture of a houseplant permanently. Going to be much better than that. So I am not going to be accepting this, and I'm just going to go on to the next page, which is privacy policy. We can read this, and obviously at the end of the day, you do need to agree to this. Parental control. For some reason, we also need to agree to this, even though majority of us won't be utilizing this, so go figure. Anyway, moving on, we have encryption and erasure. So the data that is being stored, it is encrypted automatically. Anyway, nothing there to change. And next we have device security, which already set up, so I don't know why it's showing up again. But we can also add face recognition apart from the fingerprint. Anyway, I'm just going to move on. We already had this. Moving on, we have the system navigation, gestures being selected by default, and we also have the button navigation right here if you want to use that instead. Now, I do want to also mention gesture navigation and button navigation, I believe, right? Yep, there's no options showing up. Have additional options in the settings to, for instance, hide or show gesture bar and reverse the buttons, along with, for gestures, increase or decrease sensitivity. And with that being said, this basically summarizes the setup. By clicking Get Started, we're taken to the home screen, and that's about it. So if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.